She was forced into a new identity after a fatal crash, but years later, her first love found her again. Lagos at night glowed like a living mural. Neon stalls, smoke from suya grills, horns arguing in 3 languages. Adrian Okonkwo, London-raised back in Nigeria to manage family interests, paused outside a record stall when he heard it. A girl humming an old Hindi love melody over an Afrobeats loop. Unusual, clean, certain. He turned. Zara Bello stood beside a stack of sketchbooks, scarf tied messily, laughter already in her eyes. She wasn't performing. She was just being. He held her gaze a beat too long. "You're staring," she said, amused. "I'm listening," he answered, "to a song I didn't know I missed." "Then buy the record," she teased, nodding to the stall. "I think I just did," he said, and only then realized his hand had already paid the vendor. They walked, not planned, not forced, 2 strangers drifting down Freedom Way like the night had made space for them. "What do you do?" he asked. "Paint, sing when I'm brave, sell fabric with my mum when rent is rude. You? Pretend to like boardrooms, escape to markets like this so I can breathe." "Ah, rich boy in exile," she said, grinning. "Poor girl with a capital city inside her," he shot back. Her laugh felt like a place to sit down. Days spun into habits. He'd wait at the bus stop near her art school. She'd hop on and shove half an earbud into his ear. They shared Hawker Puff Puff, argued over who owned the best Yalaf, watched the third mainland lights stutter like stars someone couldn't hold steady. Under a tin kiosk roof during a sudden rain, she started that same melody again. Soft, shy. He joined without thinking, lower harmony steady as a handrail. "If I forget everything," he murmured when they finished, "I'll still know you by this." "Then don't forget," she said, eyes not leaving his. On his rooftop, wind combed the city flat. Zara set up a battered easel. Adrian read from her journal with permission. "I want a love that doesn't audition, it just belongs," he read aloud. "Stop," she whispered, smiling. "You make my words sound braver than me." "You already are," he said. They tore a receipt in half, kerosene and groundnuts, 450 naira, then wrote the same line across both pieces. "As long as we breathe, we return." He tied a slim red thread around her wrist. "My compass," he said. "Your trouble," she corrected. They sealed it with their foreheads touching, quiet as prayer. Dawn in a church courtyard, doves quarreling on a rail. The call to prayer drifted from a distant mosque. Adrian looked up. "Whatever name God answers to tonight, let him hear us." They didn't marry. They vowed anyway, about showing up, about choosing again on the hard days, about not giving the world permission to redraw them. No rings, just a pendant he slipped into her palm, a simple silver oval engraved A to Z. She tucked it under her blouse like heat. Inseparable became normal. She taught him pigeon he promptly ruined. He taught her high life chords she played better than him in 2 tries. He met her kid brother Sei, who sized him up and said, "If you hurt her, I'll fight you with maths." She met his old nanny, Mama Chica, who wiped her hands on a wrapper and whispered to Adrian, "This one is your wife of the heart." The first crack arrived with pearls and steel. Lady Ifeoma Okonkwo glanced at Adrian's unlocked phone during a charity auction, a photo of Zara laughing in the rain filling the screen. "Who is she?" "The girl I'll grow old with," he said, surprising himself with the ease of it. Ifeoma smiled. It never reached her eyes. When he stepped away to take a call, she phoned a driver. "Bring him," she said, "and bring the envelope." Class drifted in like harmattan, soft, then everywhere. Zara's mother ran a stall of bright fabrics. Adrian moved through rooms that smelled of old money and newer lies. Whenever the world pulled them apart, their bodies leaned closer, like instinct was a rope. A night drive to Tarqua Bay, shoes in hand, feet wet with small waves. "If I got lost," he asked, not looking at her, "would you find me?" She placed his hand over her heartbeat. "Here first, then everywhere." He kissed her knuckles. The sea agreed. Lady Ifeoma hosted a polite dinner. Zara wore a simple Ankara dress, shoulders squared. Compliments came like cutlery. "My son is impressionable," Ifeoma said. "He mistakes intensity for permanence." Zara smiled gently. "So do most adults. They just call it strategy." In the car afterward, Zara's hands trembled. Adrian pulled them to his mouth. "We'll make them tired of doubting us?" He showed her the flat he was fixing. Peeling paint, 2 mugs, 1 mattress. "It's ugly," she laughed through tears, "and it's perfect." Streetlight promise. Under a lone bulb humming like an old violin, they whispered the receipt vow again. He slid his half into his wallet, near his chest. She pressed hers into the back of her sketchbook. Cutaway, Ifeoma in the back of a black SUV, city lights sliding over her face. The driver passed a thick envelope to a man waiting in shade. "If love is a fever," she said, "bring the cold." On the roof, the wind rushed. They sang their promise motif full for the first time. Unashamed, a little off-key, completely right. "If I forget the road," they breathed together, "I'll follow your song." The red thread on Zara's wrist fluttered. Zara woke to sunlight on her face and Adrian's arm across her waist. The rooftop from last night still echoed in her mind. The promise, the wind, the city humming beneath them like Lagos itself had blessed their vow. She turned to him. "Morning," she whispered. He didn't open his eyes, just smiled. "If morning always looks like you, I'll stop sleeping." She shoved him playfully and he pulled her into a hug that felt like the beginning of a lifetime. But downstairs behind the compound gate, a black SUV idled quietly. Lady Ifeoma sat inside, eyes on her watch, lips tight. "Separate them," she told the man beside her, "before my son destroys his future." By the time Adrian walked Zara home, the plan had already begun. Later that afternoon, they sat at the back of a Danfo bus heading to a small studio where Zara recorded her final year project song. Their fingers were intertwined the whole ride. "After my internship in London, I'll come back," Adrian said. "We'll get a place. Maybe here, maybe VI, anywhere you want." "You're not leaving me behind?" He stopped her hand, squeezed it. "Zara, nothing is dragging me away from you." But life doesn't ask permission to change. The next day, Zara rushed out of her mother's fabric shop to meet Adrian. They were meant to drive to Tarqua Bay again. "Our place." A silver Lexus stopped in front of them. A driver stepped out. "Madam Ifeoma sends her regards," he said politely. "She would like to speak with you privately." Adrian stiffened. "No, whatever she wants to say, she'll say it in front of Zara." The driver smiled faintly like someone used to dealing with children. "She said you'd insist, so she instructed me to give you this." He handed Adrian an envelope, heavy, sealed, expensive. Adrian opened it. Inside was a plane ticket. London. Departure, tomorrow morning. First class. And beneath it, a typed note. "If you love her, you will leave her alone. She deserves a future you cannot give." Adrian's hands trembled. Zara grabbed the paper. "What is this? Adrian, what is this?" He tore the ticket in half. "I'm not going anywhere." And that was the mistake Lady Afioma expected. That evening, they took his father's old Corolla for the beach drive, laughing, singing their promise song, Zara's red thread glowing each time she raised her hand to paint the air. At the sharp bend before the bridge, the road was strangely empty. Too empty. Adrian slowed. "This doesn't feel right." Zara touched his arm. "You watched too many movies." Then the truck appeared. Headlights blinding. Speed too fast. Horn too loud. It swerved, deliberate, controlled, aimed directly at them. "Adrian!" Zara screamed. He spun the wheel. The car flipped. Metal screamed. Glass exploded like 1,000 tiny betrayals. The world turned black. Zara woke in darkness. Not night. Pain. Her face bandaged. Machines beeping. Her mouth dry. "Adrian?" she whispered. No answer. She tried to lift her hand. It didn't move. Panic clawed her chest. The surgeon approached. Calm, British Nigerian, face unreadable. "You're lucky to be alive," he said gently. My boyfriend. Adrian, where is he?" A pause. "I'm sorry," the surgeon said. "He didn't make it." Her scream rose, but only silence escaped. Days blurred, morphine, bandages, darkness. When she finally asked for a mirror, the surgeon shook his head. "Your face suffered severe trauma. We will rebuild it, but you will not look the same." She felt her soul leave her body. "This is not the time for mirrors," he said softly. "This is the time for surviving." Meanwhile, in a private hospital across Lagos, Lady Ifeoma stood beside Adrian's bed, unconscious, bruised, alive. She touched his hand and whispered, "She will not ruin you again." Her phone buzzed. A message from the fixer. The girl survived, her face gone. She inhaled. Then it's done. Zara lying alone in a room of white walls, bandaged, unrecognizable, whispering through the pain. "Adrian, we made a promise. Find me." The world returned in pieces. A beep, a cold draft, a ceiling she didn't recognize. Zara blinked through the bandages wrapped around her head, throat burning as she whispered, "Adrian?" No answer. A nurse rushed toward her. "You're awake. Please don't speak yet." Panic clawed up her chest. Her fingers trembled against the sheets. Where is he?" The nurse froze. That was the moment Zara knew something was wrong. A doctor entered. British accent, calm voice, eyes full of a kind of pity that felt heavier than truth. "Zara, I'm afraid you were in a very serious accident." She swallowed hard. "And Adrian? He was with me. Adrian Okonkwo. Where is he?" Silence. Another silence. Then the doctor exhaled. Slow, careful, devastating. "There were complications. His injuries were severe. He didn't make it." The words sliced through her like broken glass. "No," she croaked. "No, no, no. He promised. We promised." Her body shook so violently the monitors beeped. The doctor held her shoulders gently. "His family already handled the burial. They asked for privacy. You weren't in any condition to attend." Zara clawed at the bandages around her face. "I need to see him. I need to see him. Please." "You can't," the doctor whispered. "He's gone." The world dimmed. She screamed without sound, her voice trapped under grief and gauze. She tried to rip the IV out, tried to sit up, tried to reach a man who was no longer in this world. They had to sedate her. When she woke again, she felt emptier than death. Days blurred into nights. She couldn't speak, couldn't cry, couldn't understand why life left her behind when Adrian was gone. One morning, the doctor returned with news that felt like another wound. "The damage to your face, it's extensive. We can reconstruct. But you will not look the same." She stared at the window. No reflection, no past, nothing. If I'm alive, she whispered, then who am I? The doctor hesitated. We can give you a new start, a new identity, a new face. The alternative is a life of constant trauma. Zara closed her eyes. Her mother and brother never visited. Phones were switched off. She was alone. Maybe they couldn't afford the hospital fees. Maybe they believed she wouldn't survive. Maybe grief swallowed them too. She signed the papers, because what was the point of living with a face that belonged to memories she could never touch again? The surgeries lasted months. Pain, skin grafts, reconstruction, learning to speak with new muscles, learning to smile with someone else's shadow. When they finally removed the final dressings, the doctor placed a mirror in her hand. "This is you now," he said gently. "Your name will be Amara Gray. Clean records. A fresh beginning." She lifted the mirror. Her breath hitched. She was beautiful, but unrecognizable. A stranger. A ghost wearing her skin. A life erased and rewritten. Her fingers touched the reflection. "Zara Bello died the day he did," she whispered. "Let her rest." The doctor nodded. "Then welcome to your new life, Amara." She forced a weak smile. "A life I didn't ask for." But she stood anyway, walked anyway, moved forward anyway. Because sometimes the only way to honor the dead is to survive. 2 years passed. Not fast, not kindly, not enough to forget. Amara Gray learned how to walk again before she learned how to breathe without pain. She moved to London as recommended by her surgeon. New identity, new country, new sky. Her mirror no longer punished her. It simply reminded her every morning that she was no longer Zara Bello. She attended therapy, joined an arts foundation, volunteered at a youth center. But nothing taught her how to bury a promise she once whispered under a streetlight. Meanwhile, across the same city, Adrian Okonkwo lived a life that looked perfect from far away. Up close, it was suffocating. His mother, Lady Ifeoma, had forced him into an arranged marriage with Kioma Oweri, daughter of a business tycoon. A merger disguised as matrimony. Kioma was beautiful, educated, polished, and completely uninterested in him. She loved someone else, a secret journalist from Abuja, a man she was forbidden to marry because he had no wealth, no pedigree, no use to her family. Two people trapped in one marriage, both grieving different loves. Adrian slept facing the window. Kioma slept facing the wall. Silence lay between them like a third person neither of them had the courage to address. He became quieter, colder, rougher around the edges. People whispered in the Okonkwo mansion, "He's not the same since Zara. He still wakes up at 3 a.m., like he's listening for someone." But Lady Ifeoma didn't care about whispers. "Pain is temporary," she told him one morning. "Marriage is permanent." He looked at her and replied, "So is regret." One rainy Thursday evening, Amara attended an art showcase her foundation sponsored in Canary Wharf. She stood near a window, admiring a series of minimalist water-themed paintings. The water made her think of Tarkwa Bay, the sunset, Adrian's laugh, his arms around her waist, promising, "As long as we breathe, we return." She closed her eyes. Then she heard a laugh. Not any laugh. His. Her eyes snapped open. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Across the gallery, surrounded by business elites and photographers, stood Adrian Okonkwo, alive, older, broader, wearing a fitted navy blazer. Not a ghost, not a hallucination, not a memory. A man, breathing, smiling faintly, existing. Her breath left her body like it was running away. She whispered, Adrian? He didn't hear her. Kioma appeared beside him, placing a hand on his arm, politely, formally, like someone fulfilling a social contract. Someone introduced them as Mr. and Mrs. Okonkwo. Amara felt the world tilt. Mrs. Okonkwo, his wife, the role she once imagined for herself. Her knees weakened. She backed into a wall, gripping the edge of a table to keep herself upright. He turned slightly, and for a split second, his eyes brushed past her. She froze. Did he see her? Did he feel something? Did anything in him shift? Recognition, discomfort, memory? Nothing. He looked away casually, like she was just another stranger in a room full of strangers. She covered her mouth to stop a sob. Her mind screamed, he lived without me. He married without me. He moved on without me. And I am dead to him in every way but breath. Kioma's laughter echoed softly. Adrian's face stayed distant, polite, empty, not happy, not in love, just resigned. They looked like two people chained together by a contract they both hated. But the truth swallowed her whole. Even in misery, he never came searching for me. Amara slipped out of the gallery before anyone noticed she was there. Outside, the cold air slapped her face, but she couldn't feel it. She whispered into the wind, Adrian, I'm still here. I never left. You're the one who buried us. And somewhere inside the warm gallery, Adrian turned, just for a moment, confused, unsettled, as if a familiar voice had brushed his memory. But then someone called his name, and the moment passed. Amara barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, the moment replayed. Adrian standing in that gallery hallway, staring at her like someone hearing a forgotten song. But no, he didn't know her. He couldn't. Her face, her voice, her entire identity had been changed. The doctors made sure of that. Her parents made sure of that. Life made sure of that. So why did he look at her that way? By morning, she convinced herself it was grief. Memory playing tricks. The mind wanting what the heart still bleeds for. Still, her hands shook while she made tea. Her aunt noticed. You saw something yesterday? Amara swallowed. Someone, Auntie. Not something. Auntie paused. Someone you used to know? I don't know, she whispered. Maybe nobody. Maybe everybody. Auntie didn't press. At the Gray Foundation that afternoon, the hall buzzed with preparations for a new exhibition. Amara arranged the portrait schedules, keeping her head down, until she felt it, a presence behind her, a silence shaped like a memory. She turned slowly. Adrian. Again. He stood there with a polite smile, forced, brittle, like he was trying to stay composed in front of people. Hi, he said, voice low. Her breath caught, but she smiled back, controlled. Hello. Thank you for yesterday, he said. I don't know why I reacted the way I did. She lightly shrugged. It's all right. He looked at her again. Too long, too deep. Have we met before? He finally asked. Her fingers tightened around the clipboard. No, she said softly. Lie number 1, and it almost broke her tongue to say it. He nodded slowly as if testing the truth on her face. As strange as it sounds, you feel familiar. Amara forced her gaze away. Deja vu happens. The mind plays tricks. He exhaled. Then my mind is doing overtime. Before she could reply, a voice sliced the moment. Adrian! We're late. His wife, tall, elegant, perfectly put together, and visibly irritated. Her eyes flicked over Amara. Sharp, cold, dismissive. The kind of look rich families perfect. Adrian stepped back instinctively. Sorry, he told Amara, then faced his wife and followed her. But as he walked away, he looked over his shoulder. Once, twice. like something inside him refused to let go. Amara felt her chest compress. Why? Why does he still feel me? 2 days later, Adrian appeared again during lunch hour, this time alone. "Can I ask you something?" he said, unable to hide the tremor in his voice. Amara hesitated. "What kind of something?" He looked down, then met her eyes directly. "Do you believe people can forget faces, but remember souls?" Her heart slammed against her ribs. She whispered, "Yes." He breathed out shakily. "I thought I was going crazy." She clenched her fingers to stop them from trembling. "Why would you think that?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "Because every time I see you, something inside me stops, like I'm about to remember something that mattered once." Her throat tightened. "Maybe it's not memory," she whispered. "Maybe it's longing." He flinched, like she had touched a wound he kept hidden. Before she could take it back, his phone rang. He checked the screen. His expression darkened. "My mother," he muttered. He didn't answer, but he stepped back, like a man being pulled by invisible chains. "I don't know what this is," he said quietly, "but it scares me. And it feels right all at once." Her chest ached. "Then don't run from it." He shook his head, conflicted. "You don't know my life," she whispered. "Maybe I know it more than you think." He looked at her, eyes softening, walls cracking. "Can we talk again? Not now, but soon?" She nodded. He left slowly, reluctantly, as if a part of him stayed behind with her. When the door closed, Amara sat down, shaking. The truth was becoming too loud to hide. If fate had a heartbeat, it was calling them back to each other. 2 days passed, but Amara felt every hour like a stone dragging through her ribs. She avoided the foundation. She avoided music. She avoided mirrors. But she couldn't avoid the truth. Adrian was alive. Adrian was married. Adrian was suffering. And somewhere in the wreckage, she still loved him. What she didn't know was that Adrian hadn't slept either. He kept replaying her face, not Zara's face, but Amara's. The face that felt like memory and prophecy mixed together. His wife, Kemi, noticed his shaking hands at breakfast. "You're quiet," she said, not looking up from her phone. "I'm fine," he lied. "You're thinking about her again," Kemi said flatly. He froze. "What are you talking about?" Kemi finally looked at him with eyes that held no malice, only exhaustion. "Adrian, I've been married to you for 2 years. I may not love you, but I'm not blind." She lowered her voice. "Whoever she is, she still owns the part of you I never reached." He swallowed hard. "It doesn't matter. She's gone." Kemi's voice softened. "Gone doesn't mean erased." She stood, adjusted her silk robe, and said the line that broke him. Maybe you were never meant to love me." Then she walked away. That same afternoon, Adrian's mother invited him to her mansion. Too warmly. He already knew something was wrong. He walked in. She was waiting with 2 glasses of wine. "Sit," she said. He sat stiffly. "I saw you speaking to that girl at the gala," Lady Ifeoma said. "The one with the new face?" His heart stopped. "How do you know about her?" She smiled, slow, cold. "Because she reminds you of Zara, and I will not let that ghost ruin the life I built for you." He shot to his feet. "You built nothing. You destroyed everything." Lady Ifeoma's eyes narrowed. "You think I regret it? Adrian, you were 20, blind, stupid, in love with a girl who had... what? Nothing. Not even prospects." He shook his head, trembling. "What did you do to her? Tell me the truth." Her silence was the confession. "You lied," Adrian whispered. You said she died. You said the car exploded. You said, yes, she said simply. The room tilted. He grabbed the edge of the table to stay upright. You paid off her family, he said slowly. You faked the funeral. You, dear God, you showed me a coffin that was empty. Lady Ifeoma didn't blink. You're my son. I protected the legacy. He wanted to scream. Instead, he whispered, You murdered my life. His mother stepped closer. You should thank me. Look at your life now. Money, name, influence. Would Zara have given you any of that? He turned and walked out while she was still talking. She didn't follow. She didn't need to. She had already destroyed everything. That night, Adrian drove until his vision blurred. He parked outside Kemi's apartment, the separate place she stayed whenever her own heart couldn't carry the weight of their pretend marriage. She opened the door quickly, almost as if she'd been waiting. What happened? She asked, studying his broken face. Adrian's voice cracked. She never died. Kemi's breath hitched. She's alive, Kemi. My Zara. She's alive. Slow tears rolled down Kemi's cheeks. Not for herself, but for the man she had lived beside, but never reached. What are you going to do? She whispered. Adrian stared at the floor like it held the answer. I'm going to find her, he said quietly, and I'm going to hear the truth from her mouth, not my mother's. Kemi nodded slowly. And when you find her, will you leave me? Adrian looked at her, really looked, and something in him softened. You deserve someone who loves you, he said, not a man haunted by a ghost. She stepped aside, allowing him to leave. Then go, she whispered. Go find her, and let this pain end for both of us. Adrian walked into the night. For the first time in 2 years, he wasn't lost. He had a destination, a name, a feeling, a truth. He was going back to find Amara Gray, the girl Zara had become, the girl he unknowingly found again, and the girl he would never let go of a second time. The night Adrian left Kemi's apartment, he didn't go home. He drove straight to the only place that had ever made sense, the old art studio at Yaba where Zara used to paint. It was closed, dark, empty, but he stood outside anyway, drenched in sweat and heartbreak, whispering her name into the night like a prayer he had abandoned too long. He didn't know that across town, Amara was sitting on her balcony, staring at the red thread she had tied around her wrist again 2 days ago, the one she had once hidden under bandages after the accident. Forgetting isn't healing, she whispered to nobody, and remembering isn't pain. She finally understood it. She wasn't Zara anymore. She wasn't Amara fully either. She was both, the girl who died and the woman who survived. And she needed answers too. So she grabbed her coat and walked into the night. Fate didn't bring them together. Memory did. Both ended up at the old rooftop they once called their refuge. She stepped out from the stairwell first, breath catching when she saw a figure already there, back turned, shoulders heavy under the moonlight. Adrian, she whispered. He spun around. For a moment, neither breathed, not because of shock, but because 10 years of broken promises had just walked into the same air. He stepped closer, stopped, afraid to touch, afraid to break. It's you, he whispered. Zara, Amara, I don't even know what to call you. She swallowed hard. Call me the girl you loved. That's still me. His voice cracked. You died. I buried you. I mourned you. How do I even stand here without falling apart? Tears rolled from her eyes. You didn't bury me. Your mother buried the truth. Silence, thick, shaking. Adrian took a step closer. Tell me everything. Please. So she did. The accident, the fire, the surgeries, her new identity, her new life, the years of believing he moved on. He listened, every word carving his heart open. When she finished, she whispered, I came back to Lagos first year. I looked for you. They said you traveled. Your mother told me you were married. I died twice that day. Adrian flinched as if stabbed. That marriage was a cage, not a choice. She shook her head softly. I'm not here to destroy your life. You are my life, he said, voice raw. Her breath shuddered. Then why didn't you search for me sooner? He broke. I was told you burned beyond recognition. They showed me a coffin. They showed me a grave. He wiped his face. How do you search for someone who was declared dead? She stepped closer, finally close enough to smell the cologne she once teased him about. Adrian, do you still love me? He didn't answer with words. He lifted her wrist, red thread still there, and pressed it to his forehead. I've been loving you wrong, loving you silently, loving you painfully. But I never stopped. Her tears fell onto his hand. Then choose me again, she whispered. He pulled her into his chest, the kind of hug that doesn't ask for permission. The city noise softened. The wind stilled. The world paused. Just two hearts finding their rhythm again. The next morning, Adrian went home. He told Kemi everything. She nodded, eyes soft, tired. I hope she gives you what I never could, she said. Love without pretending. They signed their separation documents the next day, peacefully. Kemi left for Paris with the man she had always loved. Adrian left for Amara. Adrian met Amara at Tarqua Bay, their old spot. The ocean wind wrapped around them. No ring, no grand gestures, just honesty. I don't want the life they built for me, Adrian said. I want the one we promised each other. She smiled, tears warm. As long as we breathe, she whispered, we return. He took out the old torn receipt, worn, faded, but intact. Their vow. He placed it against her heart. And this time, he said, no mother, no accident, no lie will rewrite us. She kissed him, soft, slow, a reunion of every lifetime they lost. Over the waves, they sang the promise song once more. Not as Zara and Adrian, not as Amara and Adrian, but as two souls who fought death, time, identity, and lies, and still found each other. The end.